What up, though? It's your boy Joe DeNiro in the TV 360, bringing you power and purpose. Today, we want to talk about something that's crucial to Black families, to the Black community, and that's building generational wealth, financial literacy. I got my man, aka Mr. Always on Time, my man Roy, chilling, always rolling something. We about to get it going right now.
What's up with you, folks?
But you asked the question while we were off camera. What's something that I would tell my 21-year-old self? I would tell myself to invest in the tools that are easily accessible, such as I had a job. So first, I'm gonna start with the 401k. I definitely would do something like that. Then I don't know. I would put something in a small savings, high yield savings account, basically at my bank, because at that point, at that age, we don't know much about stocks. We don't know much about investing, but we do know how to set up a savings account. So I would put something in there, grab me about a good 4%. I would try to allocate at least $250. Honestly, at that age, I would try to allocate at least $250 a month going into something like that. And if I can put $200 a month in my 401k and leave it in there for, let's say, 40 years, I probably get about 6 to 7% return on my investment. That's by the time I'm 60, 65, I'm well over 700,000 if I could do that consistently.
At that age, which percentage would you designate? That's another thing. I mean, you can establish it, but at the same time, which percentage are you going to designate going towards?
That 401k? That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. I would do a monthly contribution of $200.
So is that like 4 or 5%? Because a lot of times that you designate by percentage.
Well, but you can also choose the dollar amount too.
Okay.
You can do it by percentage. Yes, you can. But if at that age, with, like I said, the tools that I have readily available, that's probably something I would do. And then probably get into the stock market later on in life, which I did,
I would have got
around 30. Once I got to like 32, I had extra money. I was able to invest into a nice S&P. And so the hand that I was dealt, or the direction that I chose, it wasn't as smooth as other people. So that was helpful for me. I was able to fall back on that. You don't have to put much in there. So like I said, from what I've learned in the past, I probably would put about a good $250 a month guaranteed. And let's just say I started at 21. Right now I'm about to be 50. I'll be good.
Yeah.
I'd be good. I wouldn't be rich. I wouldn't be a multimillionaire, but I wouldn't be worrying about my Social Security. I wouldn't be worried about my mortgage, my car note. I wouldn't worry about any of that. You'll have a nice chunk of change. We review it often, but something I already got my children started with the savings account, and that's pretty much where we at.
If I had a chance to go back, I basically would do the same thing. Now, I did start a 401k when I was much younger, in my early mid-20s. Actually, my first, corporate job. Here come the hand quotes there. But the one thing I do regret doing was I did a low percentage, because obviously during that time, every penny to the dollar. You needed the money, exactly. And you weren't thinking, at least I wasn't at the time, thinking the long term. I'm not saying that I never thought I was going to live this long, and God, thankfully, I am, and hopefully for more days to come. But again, you need every single dollar that's going to you, because you got bills. In my case, child support, things of that nature. So if I could, I would definitely increase my percentage, so more is taken out that's going towards it, because I've been in at least 2 different corporate downsizing within my professional career. And both times, thankfully, I had my 401ks to fall back on. Now, mind you, I took a 20% hit tax-wise, but at least I had funds to maintain, to keep going forward, without worrying, being up at night, thinking about which bill I'm about to pay, which one I can't pay, and I had money saved up in my 401. If that's anything, that's one thing I would definitely recommend for anyone that's starting off in the early to mid 20s. Hell, even if you're 40 or 50 years old, you get a job. It doesn't matter. It's never too late to go ahead and sign up for a 401k. Now, what I would recommend for someone who's later, increase your percentage. Don't do the standard. Go as high as you possibly can without it affecting your bottom line, because then you're trying to make up for lost time, but at least you can make it up. And that's the key. So that's what I would say about that.
I would tell myself to not be afraid. I
Yeah.
missed out on so much money being scared to lose money. I, I had a chance to invest in Under Armour, Walmart, all the other company. I have them now, but I'm talking about when they were $5 a share. I didn't
Yep.
put my money in no market. I didn't know about it. When I first started my job, I heard about Bitcoin. People were mining it for hundreds of dollars, getting thousands of shares for hundreds of dollars. I had no idea about it. This is 12 years ago. People were telling me about it. Do it, do it. I'm doing that stuff. Had I not been afraid, I wouldn't be working today.
Hey, Royce, I'll give you an example of being afraid. So many years ago, my mom and dad, in Ohio, they were approached by someone that was offering to basically help them set up a radio station in their hometown.
Nice.
And they met with the guy. The guy flew in from New York or DC or wherever he was coming from. And he met with them like 2 or 3 different times. And in the end, my parents said, nah, we're going to have to pass on that. And the thing is, my parents, they're very low risk takers. As long as I've been on this planet, when it comes to taking risks, my parents just don't do that. Very conservative. Well, somebody else jumped in there and took a chance. That became one of the top radio stations in my city. And then eventually the owner decided to retire, so she sold it. She sold it to Radio One and made millions.
She made a mint.
Millions. So not only could my brother and I have been a part of one of the I won't say the first R&B radio station in my town, but it would have been the second, but it was also the biggest because the one
Right.
that previously was on AM, this one was going to be on FM. So by the time she sold it, it was the biggest R&B station in the town, sold it for millions, and now, wherever she is at this point, living life all
Yep.
because she took a chance and a risk.
Yep.
And what they and the way they look at radio stations is basically advertising. That's
Yep,
what they're buying.
that's all what it is.
Is how many people they going to reach? How many people? What's the demographic? How many people is going to reach? And how many people we going to sell to? What we selling?
Yep.
That's pretty much what it is. And yeah, that's I would
And the
have
thing
Buy
is,
been in
land.
on that.
I interned for the radio when I graduated from college because I have my degree in communication and public relations. I interned for the radio station, so
The
I
same
knew
radio station.
same radio station. So here again, I'm interning for the same radio station that my parents could have owned, that I could have graduated, went right on in, had a job, and as soon as they decided to sell the radio station, I could have been cha-ching as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. You like Royce hit it on the head. You can't be scared to take that risk.
Yep.
You have to really, really think about what it is.
That's being
I'm
offered
sure
and
all of us
presented.
have had opportunities such as that.
Scared
Once upon
mind
a
makes
time,
no money.
a friend of mine wanted to sell me a cell phone beeper shop for $20,000 that I absolutely had. I had it, and
You
I
should have.
just was like, I'm like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Because cell phones were out, but I wasn't forward thinking like that. I wasn't thinking, and a lot of us don't look at technology like that. But you think about the technology that we have right now. Like, look at us right now. What we doing? You know what I'm saying? You think about the technology. This is stuff we used to watch on Star Trek. You know what I'm saying?
Total recall.
On the
Total
monitor.
recall.
Bring up the monitor. You know what I'm saying? So there are things like that. And then we watching AI and just seeing the opportunity there. So you have to be forward thinking to see the opportunity. But there are things that I'm saying, like I said, readily available. Your 401k, investing in high yield savings accounts, even life insurance. My grandfather set up the whole life insurance for the family years and years ago. And so a lot of us were educated on it, but it wasn't up until now that I'm thinking, okay, we can use whole life insurance and build our own bank, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's more pricey, but the return on that investment is better.
You
The
get it for a
biggest
whole
thing
life.
about the biggest thing about insurance is, like Chris Rock say, what if this is in case shit happen? What if shit don't happen? You know what I'm saying? But when you dealing with whole life, yeah, okay, didn't nothing happen? Okay, let me get some of that right here.
Yep.
Let me get
You
some
can
of
take
that
a
right
loan
here.
out on it.
Huh?
You basically take a loan out on your own insurance
Absolutely.
policy.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so,
Yep.
so yes, it may be a little more pricey, and we actually looked at some today, and it's in our budget, but it's in our budget where we would have to kind of curtail some of the things that we do. And is it worth it? I think it's absolutely worth it. After speaking to it, and we're going to talk more about it later, but the whole life insurance, yes,
I think it's very important, and to kind of touch on what you said, Joe, it's very important that every family member should have a policy under their name,
absolutely,
because at any point in time, doesn't matter how old you are, whether you could be young or old, it could be your time. And at
absolutely.
that moment, as a family, do you have enough money to cover any type of burial expenses if you decide to go that route, cremation, I mean, anything and everything for that matter? And especially as an older adult like we are, when financially speaking, we have things on us, certain debts, obviously, and in our families be able to cover that debt. Well, if you have
Absolutely.
an insurance policy that can cover, not only can you take care of that debt expense, but you can also have enough saved over that they can be able to move forward. So you're
But
building generational wealth going forward.
see now the building generational wealth, that's something I wanted to like. I heard somebody say that if everybody did like you just said, you have your family, as the head of household. Okay, I got my wife, I got one for my children, et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera. If that was kind of the common thing that Black families did, our world would be so different. Our world would be different for several reasons.
That carryover.
I'm trying to say this as politically correct as I can, but the violence
Say it.
that has happened to the Black community over this time, I think it will be almost gone because they don't want to pay. You know what I'm saying?
When somebody dies, we wouldn't be struggling and to piece it together again with
But
that
after
insurance.
after
They
so
wouldn't.
many, but after so many murders and so many deaths by police brutality and so on, etc., somebody gonna be like, "Listen, y'all gotta leave these niggas alone. we not
Paying too much money through insurance.
we not gonna keep paying this money out. We not gonna keep paying this money out, man. So they'll pass more laws to support us to listen to what I'm saying. That's why I said I want to say this as politically correct as I'm saying as I can. Listen,
Cost too much to kill them.
yes. Period. You feel me though?
I see you. I
Because
understand it.
they don't want us to. They not like us, and now they got money. They got we done. What about them families that's like
We
that
done
living
boosted
that
them up
life?
by killing because they getting payouts. I get what you're saying though. It would make a difference.
It would make a
It
I,
would.
big
I would just
difference.
say this. I would just say
Corporate
this.
America,
We have never truly, and I say we as obviously the Black community have never been on equal footing with any other race when it comes to education, when it comes to employment, when it comes to wealth, when it comes to pretty much everything that society can offer to us. But have we been educated? I'm talking about we as in our ancestors, our forefathers before, even our grandparents. So we're talking about just most recent generation. Have there been some forms of education to basically educate, say, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, we can give you an insurance policy that you're going to pay back then probably just pennies instead of what we pay today. Just number
yes,
pennies.
absolutely,
Or an insurance policy that will cover you and your wife and whomever. That money that could have been passed on by now to our generation, that's now about to be exchanged over to the next generation. We will now be an equal level to our white counterparts, to our Asian counterparts,
absolutely,
who
absolutely.
that's what they have been doing. These folks that we have seen, different last names, obviously, they live off wealth that was generated, one, off our backs as slaves, but it's been passed on
Passed on.
generation after
You know,
generation after generation.
you want to
So
know
even in death, the next generation is already wealthy before someone even born.
you want to
Why
know
can't
what
we?
you want to know what they passed down? Wealth.
Let's
You want to know what Black folks passed down? Jesus.
Poverty.
debt.
Poverty.
Jesus. We get ours then. We get ours later in the afterlife. That's when we get ours. That's what we were taught. That pray on it.
Nah, yeah.
Pray on it. They
You are
taught
taught to
them.
pray. You taught
Right.
the parent, but to take action as well. So I mean, prayer without action don't work. So you got to do stuff while you're praying to make it work.
I
So
understand
it's
that,
not
but
just
but
sit there and wait and nothing to happen. You got to do stuff to make it happen.
but I'm just saying the difference in the doctrine. We were we were taught
I just,
our faith and passed that
yeah,
down, but when it come to them, they were taught like, okay, this is the business.
this is
This
what
is
you
what
start
it
off
that's
with.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
They
At
didn't want us to be
at 8
educated.
years old, they put on the credit card as an authorized user to start building their credit. Yeah,
They didn't want us on equal footing. That was
yeah.
not the plan. That was not part of the plan. That was not the original plan for us to be just like them. That wasn't part of it. So we're gonna teach y'all how to run it, but we're gonna teach y'all how to work it. That's what
Right.
it was. So here y'all go with here's your faith, but we're gonna teach Bobby over here and we're gonna teach Bobby how to run it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I want to learn, I want to set up a
Sure.
trust. I want to learn
But
how to set up a trust. That's my next goal.
yeah, but I also will say this though. One thing that we don't do as well is pass on our knowledge. We do not pass on knowledge to each
Don't
other
share shit.
because that becomes the crab in a barrel situation.
Like we talked
If
about last
I'm
week.
doing
Yes.
well, do I necessarily want the next guy who could be my friend, my brother, my sister, or anybody for that matter? But I still want to be the top.
And I want to be the only one.
Exactly.
That too.
Exactly.
I just want to
I
eat.
want to be the only one.
Yeah. So, again, we have been put, everybody else has been off the starting gate, but we're still steps removed from leaving from the starting gate, even though we're still walking and running with one hand tied behind our back, one leg tied behind our back, hopping, because we're still trying to catch up to these folks when they've had opportunities. They have access to resources. We're just now, our generation, moving on to the next, we're finally catching up to these same things. We have education opportunities to us. Unfortunately, some people don't really heed to it. We have more financial opportunity to us than any other generation that blacks have been able to have access to. Some folks do not want to utilize.
Now, we did,
Yeah.
used to.
So if we have education, no one was out there. We have the resources, which is obviously hell. That's on your cell phone if you want to use that for that matter.
Absolutely.
Then on top of that, you present the information to the masses, especially those who may not be informed, to say, hey, look, this is what's in front of you. This is what you're going to be dealing with. But these are the resources available to you to help you to start, building up some financial, support for yourself and your family, and also build this generational wealth. So when it comes to your time to pass on, you got something that you can pass on to your children, who hopefully in return they can pass it on to their children if it's budgeted well. But if anything, you're not going to put your family at a greater loss and hardship, which unfortunately we see all the time. Because again, just because you pass doesn't mean your debt goes away. It now goes to the next kin under you. So that's why we got to do these things. And to your point, Joe, establish a trust. So now when it's time for things that go on, the government's
Can't
not going to
tax it.
throw hands on you. Yeah, that stuff,
Can't
instead
tax
of
it.
being expense, hey, that's tax. It's not taxable.
That's the next level right there.
Yeah. And then establish a will so when things go on, things are, dispersed the way you want them
Things
to
are
be.
in order.
So now you're not having your cousin third removed coming in trying to take something from your wife or your children, or hell, even a sister or brother trying to come in and take something that belongs to your family, your immediate family,
Right.
unless you designate it for it to go out to them.
Yep. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about that. But again, it starts with the education, and a lot of us, we were not taught how to seek it. Now, you got those geniuses out there. They're gonna find it hook or crook. You know what I'm saying? And they elevate themselves and the lives of them or their family. But overall, this is information that is new to us that we are just now getting in the social media age because people are able to share it. It's not like the gatekeepers can't gatekeep it any longer because now with social media, things are being exposed, things are being taught. So it's
Man,
like you said, it's at your fingertip. I think 80% of adults, maybe even a higher percentage than that, got a computer in their hand every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a matter of how you use it. You just scrolling and taking pictures and Snapchatting, or you actually, being informed, watching the news, checking out this, checking out that. But
But so Royce, you have mentioned Bitcoin. So having worked for, I'm not gonna say the name, but a major card brand at one particular time, the hot ticket at the
I know.
time was Bitcoin and crypto. And they were trying to figure out how the ways to incorporate it that's eventually allowed basic all
couldn't.
business. Except, right. So you talking about from hotels, you talking about booking air flights, you name it. At some point, they're trying to find a way so that if you got it, you can use it. But another thing that was going on was regulation. Why? Because, yeah, some folks were trying to regulate it because they knew if a certain small percentage of folks had all of the access to it, which allowed them to get all the money, then what's going to happen for those that don't? So unless you regulate it, then it's not going to become an equal opportunity for everyone to gain. So that's why for the longest time, the Republicans especially have been trying to shoot that down because they know as long as it's unregulated, this percentage of people, which is the millionaire billionaires, are becoming more multimillionaires or more multi-billionaires. But the average Joe, which is over here, he can't get into that because he doesn't have the funds in order to put over in there to become a multimillionaire or a billionaire. But at the same time, guess what happened to them same folks? You saw that with Trump's coin. They put all that money in. They all made millions of dollars the day before his inauguration.
Within the hours.
Yep. But guess
within
what?
Hours, because it takes within hours.
But listen, less than a month later, they all lost their money.
Unless they
it was saying less than a month. They made. I think it was like a week later that it was gone.
It was hours, bruh.
My brother, I'll never forget this. My brother was down here with us, and he follows that.
And you talked about it that day,
right? So he lost his shit. I honestly thought he was mad at me because I took him out the same night that the shit was going on. So he spent all night long. He didn't go to sleep that night trying to get access. He telling us, "Hey, bro, you need to get access to it." So I'm trying to find ways to get my way into it too, because hey, I don't like Trump, but I like money. So let me try to get my way in there. And luckily and thankfully, I think God was looking after me on this one because he said, "Bro, you can't afford all this. So I'm gonna make sure that you can't get access into it." And I'm not saying that's my blessing, but at the same time, had I got into it and tried to get into it, by the time we was able to get into it, he got into it, put his money down, gone. Yeah. Me on the other hand, I couldn't get into it because he already had his coin set up. So he just moved his money over into it, gone. Me,
I feel like a lot of those. I feel like a lot of those are set up like what they call them multi-level marketing, meaning the first one to get in. If you the first one to get in, you're gonna get paid. But everybody after that, you just helping pay them. You know what I'm saying?
And that's exactly what's going on.
And that's the same thing.
Was it a couple days later? Then they had one for
Melania.
Yep. They had one for her too. Shot up. Yep. They had one for Musk. Shot up. Shot down.
Yep. But again, the gatekeepers, they know who they wanted to know. Hey, check this out.
And they know when it's happening too.
And they go back to what I was saying last week. We're gonna look out for our family first. Like if you was a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, Roy a millionaire. Who else do we hang out with? Millionaires. All our friends are millionaires. And that's who we gonna tell. Hey, check this out. We doing this. You want in?
Yeah.
What did Jay
say?
Say that again.
When he was talking about Memphis and Bleak?
We talking about street. We talking about Streets is watching state property.
He said a lot. What's the line? That's what I want to say.
That's the line. If I make what, then they don't have to worry about it.
I get paid, we get paid. I'm good. We are good. Yeah,
that's how it worked, man. And that's the same.
That's how it used to be, though. But these kids don't know that rule, man. These kids so damn selfish, man.
That's a whole nother conversation on how they are.
One thing I've learned about folks who have money are afraid, not necessarily afraid, they just don't want to give money away because they know they don't want to be broke.
They know what it takes to get it.
And the fastest way to become broke when you make a lot of money is to give away money. Yep.
But in honesty, though, some of these folks, though, if you really think about it, with these millionaires, Bill Gates alone could take care of the United States homeless problem.
Musk could.
Don't get me started on that.
Musk could.
And you mentioned Bill Gates. I'm not worried about Bill Gates. I'm worried about the LeBron James and the Jay-Z's and the Oprah Winfrey's. And the Shaquille O'Neals and the Magic Johnsons, because
all right. So a lot of them do a lot of stuff that you just don't hear about.
Why? Because
they do a lot of stuff that you don't hear about. Because Shaq does a lot of stuff, bro. Yeah. Shaq does a lot of stuff you don't hear nothing about. You
And
know,
Bill Gates has foundations, he's basically giving his money away to these foundations, because he knows he's not going to be able to spend all of that. So, hey, make it a good use for society. So why would we go after them when you got cats like Musk? And that's a whole nother conversation with just him alone. But then you got Bezos, Amazon, who,
yeah.
by the way, both of them was sitting right next to Trump during his inauguration and telling him
How
in his
about
ear,
that?
hey, let's go
Yeah.
ahead and start cutting down on things, in this government, which helps
Man,
our
don't get me
business.
started.
Yeah.
Don't get me started, man.
I'm more concerned about the ones that I listed because that's the black
That's
community,
ours.
and
You talking
we
about ours?
talking.
You talking about us? Of our
That's
own.
why, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why. Okay, like you said, we got all this money over here. Let's go on and put it in your community. Put it back where you came from. So I don't expect them to do anything. I don't expect Bezos and Bill Gates and Elon Musk to do anything for the inner city of Indiana, Detroit, Maryland. I don't expect them to, but I kind of feel like the rest of them will or should.
All right. So what was the people that you just named? Say their names again.
Oprah, LeBron, Magic, Shaq. I think I said somebody else. I forgot. But those are our
Okay.
people.
So 4 or 5, let's see here. So you said Jay-Z, who was a billionaire, Oprah.
Billionaire.
Then she dropping the billionaire status?
I think she's still
They
billionaire.
just had a photo of all the billionaires. And okay, well let's count her still. Okay. And who was the third?
Shaq.
Shaq. Okay. All
He
right.
close to a billionaire.
So basically, you name 4 to 5 black rich individuals who are either multimillionaires or low-level billionaires, correct? Okay. If you take all of those combined, Bezos still got them beat.
But
Yeah.
not
You take
us.
all of them combined, Musk
But
got
not
them
us.
10 times beat. So we're dealing with people that collectively still has nowhere near the money that a Musk and Bezos got that, to your point, could come into Tampa, Indianapolis, or any city that you list and could come in, put in and invest to build up each individual parts of that city community-wise, starting from ground zero
Not the
down.
community, the individual. They can
Yes.
take care of the individual themselves. It'll
I
be
Yes.
hear what you're
done.
saying.
Yeah.
I don't doubt
So
what you're
that's
saying, and
who the
you're not wrong.
conversation is. Now, what should happen is you take them same 4 to 5 people, and then you have them talk to the Musk, because obviously they're not going to speak to us, but they will speak to them about diversifying some of that income that they
You're not
have
wrong. You're not wrong,
into these
Barry.
communities.
But
Yeah.
they not us. Period. They not us. That's like the topic of the show. The whole black financial literacy, black generational wealth. They got
But
theirs.
are you saying these folks don't do anything in the black community?
No, I never said that. I
No, he
said
didn't say.
I'm saying why are we not? Why we have to even depend on them? Why don't we just go on and
Oh, I'm
start
not
it?
depending on them. I'm just saying anybody in general, either any one of them people, even anybody.
Then that's just gonna create the whole cycle of basically that's what we back in welfare.
Anybody. Any.
Here y'all go. Now we beholden. Okay.
Nah.
That's how I see it. If I do
Nah.
something for you,
Welfare
I
is
mean, it's
totally
very
separate.
rare. It's very rare that outside individual come and do something for you and then just walk away. We good.
Hey,
All right. Thank you.
we not on welfare like that, for real, for real. Let's just say that.
I'm not
I'm
saying
gonna
we
say
on
that.
welfare,
But you
but
said
we're
it's
gonna
like
be
welfare.
beholden.
That's why I say that it's not
It's not
that. Welfare is
the government giving.
welfare is a government tracking funding system.
It's a
They
tracking
track
funding
you
system,
and they
but they
fund.
funding you.
Yeah,
They
they
funding you,
track every
and
money
then
that they
they
everything that
regulate,
you
and
spend.
then they got so many regulations on welfare based
That's what I
on okay,
said.
we'll keep
You can
giving
spend
it
it
to
on
you if
this,
you
this,
do
and
this.
this, and that's it. That's it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these billionaires, regardless of color, regardless of name factor,
Just
can
coming in
help
and
the world and
helping.
be
Byron Allen,
resolved.
Byron Allen's a black billionaire, by the way.
Yeah, Byron Allen is a billionaire.
Now
He
in my
contributed.
list, those are just names that were at the front of my head because there's others. You got Bob Johnson up there. You got Byron Allen up there. You are 100%
Michael
right. You got
Jordan.
corporate, but those are the ones that's in the forefront of my head. We hear about them all the
I
time.
got you. I
Now,
got you.
now you add Byron Allen in that, and all the other black billionaires and all the other black millionaires and multimillionaires. That's a whole different story. Now we have our own economy. We have our own economy because, like you said a little while ago, he's is it Gates? He's realizing I can't spend it all. They can't either. So they need to realize that. They
So
need to
then does
realize
it
that.
become black welfare being paid by black millionaires and billionaires?
I'd rather that than be Bezos and Great Gates. Yes.
It don't matter where it's coming from. It
It
doesn't
do.
matter where it's coming from.
Sounds
All
like a
money ain't good
handout.
money, bro.
Sounds like a handout, but okay.
All
Nah,
money
nah,
ain't good
all
money.
money's not good money. That's very true.
All
That is
money ain't
very
good money,
true.
so it do matter where it come from. It
That
absolutely
is
matter where
very
it come
true.
from.
When I'm saying that, I'm talking about referring to the billionaires, bro. If you taking care of the world, man, I'm talking about the world.
Okay.
They can take care of the world.
You're right. That's why I say you not wrong, but it do matter where it come from to me. And if it don't matter,
I
it
get
don't
what you're
matter.
saying with that. I get what you're saying with
If
that.
it don't matter, then it don't matter. But it matters to me.
No, I get what you're saying whether it comes to the matter regarding the community and the support and everything like that and the building of that.
What it'll look like. I'm
do
looking
get
at what
that.
it'll look like and how it'll feel and what it'll look like. Yes, but this is a pipe dream. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
This is a dream like a mug because they pay everybody too damn selfish.
So,
that'll never
but to
happen.
me, it matters where it come from. It looks and it feels different to know that shit. One of those names that I named just did this for the city, built a whole community over here. Like I'm looking at Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo Mourning just built a senior citizen community here in Bradenton. A whole community, and the rent is like $250 or something like that. Some ridiculous amount to live there. So and it hold like a few hundred people. He just built a whole retirement old folks community and was like, "Hey, this is where the rent is going to be capped at like 250, 300, something like that. Crazy."
Yeah, I saw that.
And he ain't a billionaire.
He millionaire.
He a millionaire. He got money.
He multi, but that's like Borg Dunn too.
But see,
like
so that's what I'm talking
Dunn been
about.
doing
So
the same
to me,
thing for his whole career too, though.
to
Dunn
me,
been
it does
taking care
matter
of
where it
folks
come from.
and what's that?
I say to me, it does matter where it come from because the perception is going to be is going to do more for the black community. How it looks to the black community, you're gonna be like, damn, that's dope. Okay, all right, that's okay. But Bezos, or to me, just to me, I can't speak for everybody, but if Bezos did it or Bill Gates did it, it's gonna feel like the government did it.
What's that write off?
That's what it's gonna feel the same. It ain't gonna inspire me. It ain't going.
I mean, it's a write-off, period. You know, even what Alonzo did, that's a huge tax write-off for him. You know, which again is probably another reason why they all supporting Trump in his little big beautiful bill, because that become a huge tax write-off for all of them at those, you know, great tax rates. They pay less than all three of us combined.
They pay less taxes in this bill, which makes no sense. How?
I'm gonna get my bread up so I can pay less taxes.
How? How is it that you making $400 million a year and you paying $12,000 in taxes?
Yeah,
don't make enough.
Yeah,
and I'm making $50,000 a year, paying $10,000 in taxes.
Make enough.
Joe, you know, when you said earlier about it matters to you regarding, you know, who makes it and who disperses, basically. You know, I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying I disagree with you in that regard, but I also look at, you know, there are certain levels to these things. You know, we all know money equals power. And if we have any way to gain more power as a community, black community especially, then there's going to be more opportunities for us. So I'm not saying that we need to rub shoulders with these folks and, you know, kiss their asses and all these things. But if we do anything, we got to find a way to tap in that, whether we learn from them, get in there somehow so that now this money can be transferred over to our side of things. So now we have more people on our side that are living better, not necessarily multimillionaires or even billionaires, but just living better. And then we all can feel proud because it's not just one or two or four or five people that we're naming, but now it's more of us that have more opportunities. So that's what I'm talking about. You know, hey, let's tap in to see what's going on over there, because those guys
we
have
can
the
do
answer.
that. Absolutely.
Yeah, they know what's going on before we do.
I'm down. I'm always down to learn something new. I'm always down to learn something and implement it myself and get it done. I'm always down for that. But we are powerful enough to do that and make it happen without depending on, you know, I think that's one of the biggest differences between me and some people that say vote. That's we can do this. Our community can do this. I know, like I said, it's a pipe dream, but I know I look at the Black Panthers and I look at how they used to feed their community and how they used to do their thing. They didn't wait. They didn't care about the vote. They didn't care. They cared about their community. That's what it was. And our Black community is falling now because we are so dependent. And yes, they've done things in our history to erase that, Rosewood and etc. and Black Wall Street, etc. Every time we start coming up, they assassinate the characters of our celebrities, they assassinate literally and figuratively our Black leaders. They do that on a regular. It's almost, you can set your watch to it. Yeah. All right. After Diddy, I guarantee it's going to be another one, right?
Oh, Tyler Perry's already in crosshairs.
Tyler Perry already
right.
Yep.
So
white man.
It's what happens. So the more we depend on the government, or the more we depend on the other communities, and we have to look inside. That's just who I am. I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna come to you before I come to somebody that I actually have known for years, just because I'm side-eyeing. And I'm sorry I'm that way, but I feel like we can do it. But we choose not to work together for whatever reason. And you brought it up last week, the crab in the barrel. We look at it like that. So now we are so dependent on the system, this system that has failed us time and time again, but we continue to want to put our faith in this system. That's how I feel. Like, okay, yeah, the government, okay, if we vote, they'll let us put somebody in there. What? They going to pull the strings for? Or they going to allow us to pull the string for them? Because history has shown us that they not going to allow the people, power to the people, pull the strings. Somebody else pulling the strings. Yeah, we can vote you in there.
Yes and no. We have to play the game, bro.
I'm all the way in or all the way out. But
we don't play the game by the right. We play the game how we want to play it, and that's not how it goes. And we should,
because they do.
That's not how it goes, though, bro.
Why not?
It's not our game to play. That's
exactly. The first thing. So let's create our own game, Roy. That's all I'm saying. It's not our game to play. We expecting the rules of the game that they created to be fair for us and equitable for us.
Nah, we just do like we always do. We learn and become better at it.
All right. Well,
but the thing about it is when
it ain't gonna happen in my lifetime.
Like you said, they kill us, they tear us down. But we have to have. I tell you what, even with the Black Panthers, there is still government funding for them.
No, there was not. Read your, do some research. They did what they had to do, and they did that.
A lot of research. And go and look into the CI stuff that's been declassified, and look into all this stuff, bro. There's a lot of stuff going on that the government has done and did that's not talked about, that has been funded to build up and destroy.
That's what you're saying.
To build up.
Okay.
Not just the Black Panthers. What I'm saying is that they received some money.
I'm saying not at all the Black Panthers.
Okay.
I'm saying they didn't get no money from the government. Not a penny. Now, the money that came from the government was, the greenbacks that was printed. But how they got it, they wasn't asking for, here, let me fill this application out because we need funding to make lunches and breakfast for our little Black kids in the schools because the parents is on dope. And they didn't go to no bank and ask for no money. They didn't go to the government and ask for money.
What I'm saying is that there are traces of funding. Bruh, the government is in every fucking thing. We can't escape it. It is the matrix. It's interwoven in everything that we've done from the day that we are born. It's in everything. We have to learn it. We have to play it. We have to play it, to live it. And the one thing that you said was that, both of y'all said, money makes the world go around. Money does make the world go around, but money does not run our lives. Well, you can live without money. That's the thing that people need to realize.
Maybe.
There ain't no maybe about it. Homeless people do it every day. They live without money every day. It ain't the happiest life, but they living. You can go out and fish and feed and get some water and be warm in the sunlight and sleep in the cold. You can live without money.
My definition
people live
of
off the grid, and
what's that? Living.
Why isn't it living?
You up alive, breathing. That's breathing. I ain't living.
It's a choice of life. But my thing is this, bro. My thing is with this government game, we try to make our own rules and do what we want to do, like we always do, and we can't do that. We can't do that, bro. We have to get in, infiltrate, get the spot, whatever case it may be, whatever you want to call it. But we have to be in there to get that money, to get that game, and to play it in order to advance, do anything. We can't advance or do nothing without it. We can build the tallest world. We can call it the buildest building in the world until it gets knocked down if they're not involved.
Guys, y'all know what Rucker Park is, obviously. We all should.
Oh, yeah.
In New York City, some of the greatest basketball that I've never obviously been there, but I've heard through movies, TV shows, what have you. Some of the greatest basketball players on this planet have either played there at one point in time.
Oh, yeah.
And they're legendary basketball players that is known to be playing on that park. That's it. Nowhere else, but just there. And just think about it, if they had a chance to be put on a better stage, play in the NBA, opportunities and things of that nature. But they relegated themselves to be playing over here in Rucker just in front of their people, either due to comfort level, either due to just the opportunity that they obviously may not.
The local legends.
But they were legends, but they only legends within their community versus some other cats played at Rutgers, but they also played for the Knicks. They play for the Lakers. They play for other places where now they get an opportunity to build wealth within their own selves, wealth for their families, and then build it out even further for their communities. So, I understand what both of y'all are saying, but at the same time, it's like it's a give or take for one or the other. You could be a legend amongst each other. We can build out as much as we can, but we also got to play over here as well so that we can build up even more. So now we can bring this back and say, all right, you playing over here at the Rucker. I'm playing over here with the Knicks. I'm going to bring you over so give you a trial so you can learn how to play with us. So now when you can go back and do the same, you can bring the next man or woman up with you. That's all we got to do, and we don't do it enough.
We don't do it. We don't do it hardly ever.
We don't. Now, one thing that we should be involved in more often is mentoring, whether it's mentoring the younger folks or hell, we can mentor each other for that matter, because there are things that you both know more than I do that I rely on you to basically mentor me on. Just like there may be a few things I may know, but more than you that, hey, you say, B, can you talk to me about something? Cool. Be more than glad to talk to you, mentor, whatever you want to call it. But that's what we need to do more often with each other when it comes to different aspects of our lives. It's not just wealth. It could be faith-based. It could be education.
Building each other up, period.
It could be discussing families. It could be just talking about ourselves as men or women. Depends on who it is. That's one thing that we can build up. And Royce, to your point, wealth is not just based upon the money value. Wealth is built on your happiness. Wealth is built on good health. Wealth is built on being able to provide and take care of your family today and tomorrow and when you're gone. Just like, the best money is when you making money when you sleep. The best way that you can help your family is doing something today and also when you gone. Yeah. So your family don't have to struggle. Your family don't have to rely on welfare. Your family don't have to rely on the church. I'm not saying that in a negative manner, but the fact is they do not have to rely on something or someone else when you can help them today as well as tomorrow. That is what Black wealth supposed to be. Build for today so you can provide for tomorrow for yourself, your family, and your community. After that, everything else will work itself out.
Lord willing.
Of course.
But that's all I'm saying.
And one other thing too, I'm sorry, I mean to kind of cut you off there. There is a place for faith, for hope. We're in a society now that,
it's needed.
It's needed. We've gone through so much just in our lifetime. So just imagine what we've gone through. Then you got to think about our parents and our grandparents and going and so forth and so on. The only thing that we've had as a culture and a race is our faith. Now, has it led us blindly at times? Yes. But also has it enriched us to help us to move forward? Yes, it has. Because there's a lot of times, I'm not going to lie to you, if it wasn't for my faith, if it wasn't for my belief in God and the things that I just have, I would not have peace. I would not have calmness. I would not have clarity. I would not have hope. So whenever, like I was telling you guys earlier, when I had lost my job a couple times over, if it wasn't for my faith with the hope, I would be able to move forward to be able to find another position so I can provide for my family, so I can continue growing my black wealth to provide for my family and the next generation. So it does have its place. Now, can the black church do a little bit more? That's a whole nother discussion with other people. That's beyond me. But the only thing I know is when it comes to the religious portions of it, when it comes to faith itself, you cannot be successful, you cannot be happy without having some form of faith beside you to guide you, moral compass, in order to also to guide you to happiness. They all go hand in hand with each other. And that's all I gotta say. I'm done with that.
I can dig
That's it. That's all you got to say. You only talked for the past 5 minutes.
Hey, I let y'all talk, so I just say it quiet.
That was cold.
But it was very well said, though, brother. Very well said.
All right, fellas. It's been deep. It's been real. You know how we do.
Man, I enjoy y'all fellas, man. This is always a pleasure for me.
Hey, what that shirt say? What your shirt say? Let me see that
So
shirt.
you say, baby, you see what it said?
I got you. Look at the dog, though. Look at the dog.
But you see the chihuahua, though, yo. You see the chihuahua.
Yo quiero los perros.
Quiero Taco Bell.
Dang, I'm about to go eat now, actually.
Hey, it's been real, fellas. Royce, we got to do this again.
Appreciate
I look
y'all.
forward to seeing y'all this weekend. We're going to have a blast. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Looking forward to seeing y'all.
We're going to get this right. You know what I'm saying? And this is Joe DeNiro signing off. Power and purpose. Peace.
Peace out, bro.
All right, y'all.